Okay, so people may know, some people are saying I used to have a 3D model, and this is true. I originally got a 3D model, well, I made my own Vroid model like a year ago. Oh, we should have done this when the queen died! That was cool, I liked it. I liked having my own Vroid model. I liked being able to be 3D. I liked being able to spin around, that was fun. And then I commissioned Nyrator to like draw basically what was the concept art of my current model, and which just became like the live 2D model. And also make this 3D model. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be using the 3D model. And then I committed a sin. For those of you who are slightly familiar with Vroid or 3D models in general, they don't come with sometimes the most high fidelity tracking, which is fine. You know, a lot of Vroids look incredible without having to like brush up the tracking a bit. The Vroid's great out of the box, okay? But I had something called Hana Tool, and very reductively, it's a mod that you can put over your Vroid models to like really capture all the ARKit tracking that comes with your iPhone, right? So right now, the iPhone is like capturing so much information about my facial movement that you're just not seeing, right? You're just not seeing on this model. I basically gave myself facelift, right? I like went in, I did 3D surgery on myself. I just wanted to do it. You know, this is not a knock on the original model, which I am using. It's all circling back, okay, to the original model. Exactly, what did I need all that tracking for? I could do nice things with my mouth. I could like put my mouth, you can't really tell, but like I could exaggerate my mouth to the side of my face. Technically I had better eye tracking because like my eyes could like reduce, like the pupils could reduce and everything like that. There's a lot of stuff going on. I also had to like adjust the parameters in Hana Tool 2, adjust the parameters on my phone. It was a whole ordeal, but I got it to a place that I kind of liked. But over time, when I started streaming with it, and kind of why I switched to the 2D PNG thing at first as like, not a joke, but as I was gonna do this for one day and see how it goes, was I was super self-conscious or just very, very aware of the tracking. Like I would watch the VOD over, you know, I'm farming for clips, and I'd be like, why am I looking to the right in this situation? Like, why the fuck am I like drifting to the right? I basically had, instead of controller drift, I just had like face drift. I was like, why is my guy drifting to the right? Why is my guy drifting to the left, right? And then I would spend like an hour or two in VNeon, which is the tracking software I used. And I'm like, okay, like what's the right parameter to make sure that my head doesn't bend all the way to the left and all the way to the right? I'm not gonna show you now, but like, you know, I basically it would kind of drift away from tracking. And the worst part is I have terrible posture sometimes in front of the computer, especially with my new monitor setup. It's really easy for me to slouch and like put my feet up and like just basically be sitting my tailbone on my spine after like 3.5 hours. It's not good. Don't do that. Okay. So yes, I try to like have a good posture. It didn't always work. And then so I do the 2D thing for a bit. And I think what I realized, okay, no, before that happened, I still sometimes did full body 3D streams, which we should do again. Okay, I plan to do full body 3D streams and stuff. But then I was like, you know, I kind of look goofy in this full body thing. Like stuff is clipping to each other. I feel like it's, again, like I have face tracking issues. I kind of look goofy altogether. Face, I think. I mean, I think there's a time and place for it, but like doing it all the time, it's not what I'm about right now. I look goofy in general. Yeah, but here's the thing. It's a controlled goofiness. You know what I mean? It's not goofy by like when you think about it, everything I do on the stream is very controlled. Whoa. From the start of the live 2D PNG thing, I realized I really like it because not only is it restriction breeds creativity, because we got a lot of cool little subtle animation effects I've always wanted to do with Live 2D, but I did it all in OBS, like the bouncing. We got a lot of that, and I really like that. But also, when I stepped away from the computer, I wouldn't, like my face wouldn't like lose tracking. You know what I mean? I wouldn't look goofy. And goofy in a way that's not like, oh, so silly. Like I feel like it kind of broke the immersion of I don't know. I mean, not like this stream is immersive, but like, hey, like humans are great at pattern matching, right? And we can pattern match, like we've all watched enough VTubers to know like, oh, this guy went off screen, right? Or this guy's drinking water. And I feel like that, I don't know, that to me kind of brings me out of it a little bit, and it really bugged me. Personally, it really bugged me a lot. And so when I realized that I could step away from the computer and my PNG guy would just stand there like normal, I was like, wait, this actually feels great. Or I could like sit like shit and then my PNG guy looks normal. I'm like, wait, this is awesome. Or I could like do a little twirl and my PNG guy looks awesome, normal. I'm like, this is fantastic. This is fucking fantastic. Anyway, TLDR, I'm like, I think I'm in, you know, I don't think, I've thought about getting a live 2D, like a full live 2D guy, with like a certain type of animation style, but now I'm like, I don't think I will. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. You know, I have to figure a lot of logistics out about that, and that I'm lazy and things are going well with the original guy. It's not really, I don't have anxiety over it. I just don't like it. You know, it's like a small little annoyance, a micro annoyance that builds up. And so after realizing that, people who have been watching the channel for a while realize that this whole like I'm posing my 3D guy is nothing new. Like we've done a few streams where I'm posed, right? But the thing that I realized is like I need to actually minimize the amount of movement my character has while posed, because the cool thing about posing your 3D character is you can actually say, hey, I want to be able to move my feet. Like, don't let the pose control my feet. I want to be able to move my head like left and right a ton. Like, don't have the pose control the head. But I went back in yesterday and I just turned all those parameters down. I'm like, I actually don't want this guy to be moving a ton. I want him just to be kind of sitting there in whatever pose I made him do. I like MapHat's VTuber, which is like a photo. Yes, exactly. Yes. And this, honestly, this is super inspired by Nyrator, who's in the chat right now, who's also the artist of basically all the models I've seen. And their stream is they sit in the middle of a, like they pose their character in the middle of the bedroom of their background. We should follow their stream if you haven't checked it out. They sit in the middle of a background and it looks like okay, I'm not doing justice. It looks like a set piece, right? It looks like a scene, not like from a movie, but it looks like a highly intentional scene. And I really like that. And I've seen other VTubers do something similar too. I just never connected the dots, right? Like I think Lena also does this for some ASMR stuff. Margot actually has a live 2D model that does this for ASMR stuff too. Taijiro is another example where like he draws a different PNG depending on the scene. Yeah, Archibald, that's a good link. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking about because I featured it before. And I really like that because I think it's something like VTubers haven't really explored yet. I think it's like there is a bit of I'm this character, I have this lore, and you know my background reflects that, like my image background reflects that, my costume reflects that, my stream overlay reflects that, but it's still kind of like if you think about the camera, it's all just like a character like in front of the camera moving around in like a live 2D thing, versus like having some sense of like depth or perspective or like I guess scene, I guess. I don't know. I don't make movies, so I don't know how to talk about it, right? But here, let me give you another example. Like, what if I did this? Okay, just follow me on this, all right? Now it looks like the camera is top down. Right? Now the scene looks like it's top down. Now it looks like I'm laying down, right? And now I can move my hand. God. Oh God. Okay, here, I'm like trying to turn off the YouTube video before I go to sleep. So what I'm trying to express here is, I think this form of streaming is like not really fully explored yet, right? Because I think we obsess over higher fidelity, higher fidelity, higher fidelity, higher fidelity, like needs to track everything. And there's like a very popular clip from Shylily, which I think is actually a really good, in retrospect, it's really basic, but it's something that I don't think a lot of people employ.
If someone doesn't track as well as I do, I wanna guarantee you that 8 out of 10 times, no matter how big or small the person is that rigged and drew the art for the rig, the person using the model is at fault. Because all they do is they sit like this in front of the screen with no emotions. I changed nothing, clearly. Literally just the way you use your model changes so much about the model. I don't like when other people get discredited for their work, because I too put a lot of work into this model to make it work well. Even though I fine-tuned my parameters, if I don't use them and literally just talk like this, all my mouth does is open and close. There is no facial expression, no joy, no eye smile, the eyebrows don't move, and my mouth literally just opens and closes, and not even properly. You really need to like learn to use the model.
But like there is another sense of puppeteering that is not reliant on super high fidelity, I think. And I think in many ways can be more effective, because everyone is trying to do the other thing, right? Which is high fidelity, please track everything about my body and like turn it into the model. This is not like a quote unquote call out. This is just something that people have not turned over this rock. That makes sense. It's a mistake to conflate high fidelity for realism. It is a mistake, but it is not. It's not out of malice, or it's not. It's a very easy thing to fall into. Right? It's like it's obvious, right? It's like a bigger number, like bigger number, better thing, higher fidelity, higher, better. In many cases it is, right? Like in many cases it's not, it is better. But you need to be working, like in the case of Live 2D 2, and this is not a secret, right? Like having someone who knows Live 2D as an artist, like as a technical artist, and having your model artist also being very technically aware of Live 2D and what's capable of, you can achieve things that don't look like, basically the bar for Live 2D is just keeps getting higher and higher, right? So you can achieve things that are really, really crazy in that expressive front. Path of least resistance in terms of improving. I guess so, yeah. I mean, I would not say it's the path of least resistance. Yeah, maybe conceptually it is, because it's just more money, essentially. You're just like, I want a higher fidelity thing, you can just spend more money on it. And this, and to do something like this too, isn't immune to that. Like could is a strong word, but having infinity dollars, I could just say like, hey, I'll pay a team of artists to like draw a better background that accommodates multiple angles, make a higher fidelity, maybe Blender model, make that even higher fidelity. But like at the end of the day, right? Like what is the point of all of it in the end? We're going realism like that. Why be VTuber? I mean, I think there's an interesting, fun craft to pushing something to be as realistic as possible. Okay, but now you see what I'm saying, right? Like just from the pose and everything else, you can change the perspective of the stream. I guess what I want to say is like, I think there's a ton of valid, like people are still pushing the high fidelity world, higher and higher. Like, I think that's good. I think stuff like Milkapi is good. Like, if the more folks who can access high fidelity tracking without needing a studio, like, you're just gonna get people being very inventive with that. I think, I'm just saying this is an area that I'm interested in that I feel like is a bit more unexplored. And for me, it's kind of a cop-out. It kind of isn't. I'm lazy. I'm very, like, unfortunately, I'm like very lazy, right? So the amount of effort it would take to get a really high fidelity model and do all that stuff, like, first of all, I would know at the end of the day, it would be wasted on me. Like, I don't think it would be worth anything on me. And second of all, I'm so lazy that it kind of roundabouts in a way that I just work harder to make something interesting with like just base, like bare ingredients, I think. There's a part of it too that I like. I have like very basic ingredients and I can just put them together into something interesting. It's an interesting set of challenges, yes. It's interesting. I don't want to say it's like a mental illness. I don't want to throw that word around. I feel great, but it is like a mental thing about me where I'm trying to be better about it because I don't think it's good. I try to do a lot of things on my own. There are things that I know that I can't do. Like, I just feel like illustration, I've given up. I like at some point in my life, I just like looked at this. I'm like, I made peace with, I will not be touching this for like the next 2 decades of my life. I'm just not happy with it at all. But then there are other things like broadcasting or streaming that make me feel like I just need to learn this. I need to learn all of it. I just need to know how to do this front to back. It's not even perfectionism. I'm not a perfectionist. I'm definitely okay. I mean, I say that, but I am much more open now that I understand how learning works a bit more, that I'm open to learning how to draw. Before I had a very naive view of how people learn things, and I'm like, oh, I can't learn drawing. I actually posed this model, and then I turned down as much tracking as possible, so it doesn't lose, like, it doesn't fuck up the look of the model with the tracking, if that makes sense. Like, I think every VTuber understands the feeling that you look over to your preview screen, and you're like, why is my model looking to the right? Or like, why is my guy like fucking like inverting himself and no clipping his arm into his face? Oh my god! What the right? And like shit happens, right, with tracking. And I realized that that stuff really bugs me, so to combat that, I subconsciously like PNG-maxed. I was like, okay, I want my model to just kind of be like a static character with like few animated bits. But then with 3D, it's like, wait, I can still do that with 3D because you just have to like lower the tracking across everything and pose them. And that helps the whole problem. But the other benefit of it is you can kind of create little set pieces, right? I think Margot did this really well with her ASMR scenes. Like, she created a custom model that is a very specific set piece to what she wanted to do. This is, I'm just doing a little silly example. It's like, I'm just sitting down. Like this is the cheap version where I'm just sitting in a white room. I think it's something that we could explore a lot more. I think it's a very interesting thing to explore. I don't even know if I want to do full body 3D stuff anymore, but like stuff that like expresses more of the character's body. It's like giving yourself permission to say like, this is just what I like, and like whoever like, it's not like whoever doesn't like it can screw off. Like that's not a good mentality to have, but like this is what I like, and like if I like it, there's got to be someone else in the world who is like into this freak shit, basically. If I could, and I could like change poses on the fly with Sammy, I could make a drone strike redeem with this, which would be kind of fucking really funny. Like this is the perfect angle that you're about to drone strike me.